when the dark night falls? What happens when we truly break the bat? What happens when Batman has that one bad day? Currently, right now, in the DC landscape, they are releasing out a story called Dark Knight's Metal, which answers this question with 6 sinister versions of Batman. So far we have covered Red Death, and for this one we are covering the Dawnbreaker. What happens when Batman kills everything? And before we get this started, make sure to comment down below, what do you think of Dark Knight's Metal? And more importantly, what do you think of the Dawnbreaker? Now, let's begin, shall we? Our story begins on one fateful night for Bruce Wayne, the one that led him down the path, the night he lost everything with one fateful sound. As we see, Bruce is mourning over the death of his parents, just shot by the killer in the alleyway. And as Bruce, with tears in his eyes, sees the killer run off, a bright green light approaches him, stating, "Bruce Wayne of Earth, you have the ability to overcome great fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps." And once the ring is put on, Bruce soars off to find his parents' killer to avenge their death. And with anger in his heart and tears in his eyes, he finds the man, and he commands the ring to kill him. Yet the ring does not follow his master's order, stating, "Error. First law of Lantern Corps. Lethal force not permitted." Yet Bruce persists, forcing the ring to do his bidding, and all we hear from it is it malfunctioning. Willpower 100%, error. Willpower 117%, error. Willpower 181%, error. Willpower exceeds. And thus the ring obeys, sucked into the void that is Bruce Wayne, and with one construct he burns his parents' murderer, destroying his body completely. And thus we see Bruce throughout time, throughout his experience as the Green Lantern of Gotham, showing him having no mercy for any of the villains, slaughtering them all, cutting a swath through every villain in Gotham. And we know this due to Bruce's conversation with Commissioner Jim Gordon while they're on top of the GCPD building. As Bruce reminds him while Gordon presses him about the murder of Oswald Cobblepot, Bruce says, "You don't want to end up like the last man who wanted to help me, right, Gordon?" As Gordon persists, Bruce asks him, "You have a daughter, correct?" And he summons his power battery. As Jim agrees with him, Bruce powers up his ring, and one giant flash, Jim Gordon had just been erased from the earth. Bruce had just killed Jim, and while looking over his burnt remains, he states, "It's a shame she'll grow up without a father." At that moment, a bright green light appears and brings Bruce to Oa, the main central for Green Lanterns, for his crimes against the Corps, for his crimes on breaking the first rule of being a lantern. Yet Bruce isn't amused, and in one fell swoop, Bruce destroys the Green Lantern Corps, and in the end, there's only one Guardian remaining, and this Guardian pleads for his life, pleads for Bruce to stop. Yet Bruce just looks at him and decapitates it. And next we see Bruce, he enters into the Green Lantern's central battery, tired of what's going on, tired of everything. deciding that he will embrace the void. And hence, after a large burst of green energy, a new being emerges. No longer Green Lantern, but not the Bat. This man is the Dawnbreaker, and with his oath, he brings in the era of the Dawnbreakers. Darkness black I choke the light, no brightest day shall escape my sight. I turn the dawn to midnight, beware my power, Dawnbreaker's might. Yet we see a being floating in space, a being that looks familiar. We see the Dawnbreaker. Yet this isn't space, this is the void. After he entered the Green Battery, he caused the universe to collapse on itself, destroying everything, leaving him the only one left. And he sees a familiar smile approach, asking him if he wants to join him on his crusade of righteousness, to help him on his journey. I already have 2 men. I need another hero so we can bring back the worlds we have lost. And the Dawnbreaker agrees, joins this man who smiles. And next image we see is of Dawnbreaker entering Coast City, the home of the Green Lantern Hal Jordan. How will this end? Well, you'll have to pick up the issue and find out for yourself. And thus, that is Dawnbreaker, and one of my favorites out of the Dark Knight's Metal tie-ins. We saw Flash being the Red Death version of Batman, being used as Batman's aging. Batman doesn't have the ability he once did, and Batman's starting to fall. We see Death Machine as the Bat, who is fully broken mentally by his villains. Yet, this is a version of the Bat we never really see. The version that was first created. The version where when Bruce's parents died, we had a child wanting to get revenge for what this man just took from him, what this man just did for this boy. And it's interesting to see a young child just seeing something so traumatic and gaining this ultimate weapon. And I can totally see this occurring in a DC landscape, or any human actually. For Batman in the main universe, he had time to learn, time to study, and time to ease himself away from that hell-righteous anger he kept in for the death of his parents. Yet, what happens when it's all fresh? It's brand new. And also it's very interesting seeing a little bit more on the Green Lanterns. We have seen in the past with Emerald Twilight, where if there is too much fear entered into the willpower, that the ring will take over with killing. Yet we've never seen what happens when there is no fear and the ring of will chooses someone. That is something very odd, and for most people who don't understand that, the yellow ring of fear and the green ring of will are the checks and balances to each other. Each ring sort of has its own way of being boosted or weakened, its own way of staying neutral. Yet, for green and yellow, they are so close together that they are each other's checks and balances. Fear can overtake will, but will can also overtake fear. Each one of the lanterns actually explains this. And it's very interesting to see what happens when we have a Green Lantern ring obscured or removed completely from what would weaken it, from what would completely hold it back, and seeing how far one can push this ring. And guys, if you want to read this issue, I have a link down below for you to get a digital issue right now. It's from DC Comics, and go check it out. Help out your local comic book stores by going down and picking up an issue or adding to your comic book saver list. But if you don't have a local comic book store, always check out the online digital versions. They're always the best, and any way to help out the creators to continue making such great content. Also, while you're at it on helping out creators with their content, please make sure to click like and subscribe to this channel. It always helps out the content creators, and it would be I would be really appreciative if you were to. Thank you guys so much. This has been Rejecting Gamers, and I'll see you next week when we talk about Murder Machine. Keep calm and geek on, everyone.